Hello everybody and welcome to Dudley Zoo and Castle, where you join me, Chris, here at our Lar gibbon enclosure. Now here we have 5 gibbons, and that is a completely natural group that we have because it's headed by a mating pair and then their 3 youngsters. These animals do live in family groups. Now they're also headed by a matriarch, which means the woman's in charge, and in that case we have our mum, Mio, and then we've got our dad, Huggy. Now gibbons in general get a bit of a rough deal because they're known as lesser apes. Now that's a term just because they're more advanced than most monkey species, but they're not quite as evolutionary advanced as our great apes such as orangutans and chimpanzees, and that's for a few different reasons. One of them is because they have long-term monogamous relationships. To put it basically, they keep the same partner for a long period of time, while great apes actually move from partner to partner quite quickly. Also, you'll notice they're a lot smaller than most great apes, and they do not make nests when they go to sleep at night up in trees. In fact, they'll actually sleep in the crooks of branches and things like that. As well as that, they show less sexual dimorphism, which is a very complicated way of saying that the boys and the girls in gibbons look pretty much the same. Now, to be more specific about our Lar gibbons, these guys are known as diurnal, which means they're active during the day, and they'll also spend most of their time up in the trees, which is also known as being arboreal. Now, they're perfectly adapted to this lifestyle. You'll notice their hands are like hooks. They've got their thumb at the bottom, but their 4 fingers are really tightly together, they're really long, and it just means they can swing through those trees a lot easier. You'll also notice they've got these long, almost comedic arms, and that's because they need to use them to reach out for the next branch. Now, a really special adaptation is in their wrists. Unlike our wrists, theirs is on a ball and socket joint, which means it's a lot more flexible, and it also means that it takes a lot more pressure off their shoulders when they're swinging from tree to tree. Now, unfortunately, there's around 19 different species of gibbons, and only one of them is actually classified as less than endangered. That means almost 18 different species are at a level of endangerment or critically endangered. Now, our Lar gibbons here are considered just endangered, but it does mean we need to do a lot to help them. Unfortunately, because of their lesser ape status, they're often forgotten about, because a lot of people want to look at the more charismatic orangutans, chimpanzees for their conservation needs, when really we should be looking at these fantastic animals. They're almost like the missing link between great apes and monkeys, and they can only be found from all the way across Southeast Asia, from China and India all the way down to places like Indonesia and Borneo. Now, they are incredible animals, but they are at risk just because of us. 3 of the main reasons is: 1, the youngsters are often captured for the pet trade; 2, they're used in traditional medicines which don't actually work; and 3, because of the destruction of their habitat, mainly for agriculture. So we're talking about things like palm oil, conversion of land for farms, and that is something we can actually help with just by being more sustainable in the way that we take these products from the shops. Now, obviously, I don't want to leave you with bad news, so I'm going to give you 3 really fun facts about these animals. So, fact number 1. Every morning, this group, or just the 2 mating pairs, will go to the edge of their enclosure and do a really long call. This call can be as long as 30 minutes, and it's completely different depending on different gibbons. Now, they do this to actually claim their territory, and it's often, you can actually hear this in the morning here at the zoo, and it's one of my favourite sounds to drive into work to. Now, my second favourite fact is that these animals are the quickest animals in the trees that can't fly. I know that sounds really specific, but they can swing through trees at 55 kilometers per hour, and they can actually move across a gap between 2 trees that's almost 50 feet apart because of how fast they move. And my third favourite fact, which they're displaying really well here, is after humans, they're the primate that spend the most time on 2 legs. Now, that can be here on the floor where they walk along, and they're often seen with their arms up in the air looking really silly, but they just do that for balance. But they even do it up in the canopies of the trees. They'll walk across really narrow branches on just 2 legs. Now I really hope you've enjoyed the tour today. These are one of my favourite animals here at the zoo. Now unfortunately we are still closed and we are really hoping to open as soon and as safe as possible. Please feel free to have a look online at ways you can donate to the zoo. But for now, thank you very much for listening, and we really hope to see you soon.